Hi everybody, Jeff Marr with STEM School Highlands Ranch, and joining me is David Marquez, Senior at STEM School Highlands Ranch, and also serving as National TSA President. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, this is great. So we wanted to talk to you about TSA, which stands for Technology Student Association. You serve as National President. If I'm correct, there's over 300,000 members of TSA nationwide?
Yes, we just hit our 300,000 member mark. We also have chapters in Germany, and we're working on expanding throughout the U.S. and throughout the world. So yeah.
So your title as president is really unprecedented for STEM because we haven't had a TSA national president until you came along. So we wanted to talk to you about that because I know that early on it was your goal to actually get to that title, right?
Yes. So I joined in 6th grade, and ever since I saw the national officers that year in Atlanta, Georgia, where national conference was held, I set my mind to that. That was something I wanted to do. The national president that year, who got elected was Alexander King, and he had like this really big, loud, booming voice, a very great presence. And that was something I really aspired to live up to and really fulfill. And then I've just been working my way up ever since. I was the first state officer to be elected as a middle schooler. And then I was the first national president from Colorado.
So is it a pretty big role for you, a lot of responsibilities?
Yes. So I lead our national officer team, which works as the executive committee for TSA. We make a bunch of resources and do a bunch of other stuff, which we'll talk about later.
Yeah.
But the main thing that, as president, that I'm responsible for is I'm a voting member of the National TSA Incorporated board.
Okay. Now, you're a senior at STEM. How long have you been going to school here?
I've been at STEM since 5th grade, so, oh my gosh, like 2015, 2016.
Okay.
So a while.
Did you develop a passion for robotics early on?
No, not necessarily. I've always played around with robotics, but the main thing that's always drawn me to TSA is a lot more heavy of the engineering side.
Okay.
Because our robotics, they're always so amazing, and I love the coding aspect and the building aspect. But just really working with my hands is my favorite part of building a robot or anything like that. So that's really what I like to expand on.
Now, you guys have a lot of events that happen throughout the year, and you're going to be serving as president up until the summer of next year, correct? So a lot going on, but if you could just kind of highlight some of the big events to come this school year and what you're going to be responsible for.
So as an officer team? So as an officer team, the main thing we're working on is we have like 3 big buckets of what we're focusing on this year. And a lot of it's focusing on the members and breaching the communication gap between the national office membership. So we're working on having a part of the website dealing with just here's updates about events. The main thing that I really want to push, though, this year is the Champions Fund, which is a way for underprivileged schools to get a TSA chapter. It helps pay for that.
Nice.
And it basically allows us to expand STEM education across the U.S. So that's been something we've been really focusing on, in addition to just typical communication expansion.
Now, for those who are totally unfamiliar with TSA, if you can summarize what the organization is all about and what you guys do.
So TSA, the Technology Student Association, is a career and technical student organization. So like DECA, FBLA, FFA, those are all like very familiar organizations to a lot of people. We're the exact same in structure. We have competitive events and competitions, but we specialize in STEM-related fields, so science, technology, engineering, math, and we also do media arts. So you have stuff like fashion design where you make a dress. We have dragster where you make like this tiny little, it's like a Pinewood Derby car, but a lot more complicated and intricate. And we put CO2 cartridges and just race them. They go like faster than like a quarter of a second. It's like really fast cars. We got like video production, graphic design, structural engineering, and obviously all our robotics competitions since we are affiliated with VEX.
Okay, so a lot going on, a lot of categories, and a lot of opportunities for students who are interested in engineering, robotics, design, manufacturing to really get in and get their hands dirty and create some stuff. Yeah. What is your favorite part about TSA?
I know this sounds cheesy every time I get asked this question, but it's legitimately the members. You really meet like specific types of people within TSA, and they're all very, I guess, focused on the future, focused on their careers. They're trying to figure out what they want to do, and that's something I really love, is talking about the future. What do you enjoy doing? And some of our events are just like so intricate and stuff. Like coding is not my specialty. That I leave that to other people. But when someone's explaining like for a cybersecurity event, like here I did this, when they're walking me through all that, it's always so interesting. And that's what I feel like is the most like enriching part of TSA, mainly because they'll take me, put me in a room with people who are doing everything else that I'm not doing, and I get to learn from that.
And have you learned a lot?
Oh, definitely.
It probably can be overwhelming too, like information overload.
No, there's so much, and I just do my best to break it down and work through it, because I want to experience as much as TSA as I can.
Does it attract a certain type of student, one who already might be inclined to these types of things, or have you seen students kind of grow into it and discover skills that they didn't know they had before?
So we get a little bit of both. What I find interesting is like even some of our more prominent leaders, like our state leadership team, the state officers. Our president of this year, her mom just signed her up. She had zero interest in the organization. She's planning on being a doctor, which is lightly STEM oriented, but not as much.
Yeah.
She loves it. And that's the thing. We get a lot of people who may not be interested at first, but really getting hands-on experience and competing and all that, it's just a lifelong experience that a lot of people have kept with them.
Yeah.
And we still have like STEM alumni and even state alumni who come back and they start out with just either, oh, I was a little bit interested, or I had no idea what I was doing, and they just stuck with it ever since.
Now, something that people may not know about you is you have a large pin collection
Yes.
at home, right?
Yes.
How big is the collection?
There's TSA trading pins for each state or school, and my pins, I probably have, oh my gosh. So I've been collecting since 6th grade, or like 5th and a half grade.
Okay.
And I'm probably at over like 300 now.
That's a lot.
So yeah, I always buy like 100 a year and trade all those up, and it's what got me into TSA, and that's definitely my favorite part, mainly just because you meet everyone from every other state, like the amount of like teachers and students I met from other states and trading with them, and also they always look awesome, so it's great.
Are they in your room?
Yeah, so they're in my room. I have like this whole little like a binder folder of it, like a pin book sort of.
Yeah.
Like it's technically for Disney pins, but I just use them for TSA pins because
nice.
that's my Disney.
Okay.
But yeah, like I just have this ginormous book where I just have a bunch of stuff that I trade.
Well, that'll be fun to go through later in years ahead.
Oh,
to
yeah.
Look back on a lot of those pins. Probably bring back a lot of memories too. So for students who have not joined TSA, who might be interested, how would they get started?
I feel like the easiest way to get started is just go to the enrichment page and we'll have registration.
Okay.
In addition, our first meeting this year will be on August 23rd, Wednesday, in Mr. Reichsmith's room in the engineering labs. If it moves, we'll definitely send out updates through communications and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But 100% enrichment is the easiest way to sign up for stuff.
Now, you've traveled quite a bit, right, across
Yes.
the country for this organization? Is that right?
Yes. We always have a national conference in a different state every year.
Okay.
And then, furthermore, as a national officer, I've had the honor to travel to other states for TSA.
Now, you were on a plane recently. Were you coming back from an event?
Yes. So I was coming back from this year's national conference where I got elected.
And you struck up a conversation with another student talking about TSA and also STEM, Schoolhounds Ranch in particular, right? Mm-hmm. And that student became motivated enough to actually enroll in our school. Is that how the story went?
Yes. So she was interested in running for state office one day, and she was already very involved with her old school's chapter. She was the chapter president, and they're a very strong school.
Yeah.
And I thought she'd be great for our program because I've been trying to build it back up after COVID. We took a big hit in membership. And I saw someone who's really aspiring to reach for the stars and go after state office. And that's what I've been trying to do. I've been trying to build up leaders. I believe I'm trained up 2 or 3 of our state officers this year. And I'm trying to train up more for this year also. But the main thing is I really want to work on leadership development, primarily at STEM. So just finding that talent across the state or anyone who'd be interested and encouraging them to join our program. Because our TSA program legitimately is, I just love how it works. I love our advisors. They do everything great.
Well, it must feel good to know that on a plane ride you were able to mentor a student who ultimately is now here at STEM.
Yes.
And who knows what she will do with her future with TSA. That's really neat. What else did you want to address with TSA regarding events, enrollment, anything else that's going on this year? Because I know that this is going to probably be a really busy year for you as you wrap up your senior year.
100%. I feel like the main thing that we really want to focus on this year is membership goals, especially at the high school and middle school level. Primarily, STEM Schoolhounds Ranch, we used to be the biggest chapter in all of Colorado.
Yeah.
We took a big hit during COVID, and one of my main goals this year, and same with the chapter officer team, is just building that back up. We used to have 250 members across this middle school and high school.
Okay.
I want to get back up to that and even hopefully pass it this year. So I want as much registration as possible, and that's the main drive we're pushing towards. And in addition to that, I also want to promote our community service events that we have, especially at the state level. Colorado TSA in particular partners with the Ronald McDonald House and the American Cancer Society to help raise money for those organizations.
Yeah, and speaking of doing some work for the community, I read in your bio on the TSA website that you actually dedicate some of your personal time to helping those in need, right? If you wanted to talk about that.
Yeah, so down in Littleton, not too far by, it's probably about 15 minutes from STEM, is Graceful Cafe. And they made it their mission to feed the unhoused. And usually what I do there is during our community breakfast days, which is free breakfasts. It's always free breakfast, but primarily this one's put on, sponsored by a company. And I help organize all the volunteers who are food running or anything going in and out of the kitchen. So that's usually my job that I like to do. I always sign up first on the list for that.
Feel good?
Oh, it's awesome. No, I love the shifts there because that's the main thing. I love people, like the unhoused people are always so nice. They're always some of the sweetest people you'll ever meet.
Yeah.
And it at least feels like I'm doing something tangible. That's the main thing that I really like, especially within TSA or anything in my life, is just when I can feel a tangible impact.
Absolutely. That's really admirable that you're doing that. Now, you're about to graduate STEM. What is in store for your future after STEM?
So I'm actually hoping on studying ecological sciences or just general biology, either in Colorado, possibly California. I'm looking at Berkeley, CU Boulder, a bunch of other stuff, possibly even Stanford. That'd be my #1 pick.
Okay.
But I really want to go into that, and I've even been writing actually a research paper I've been working on this past year. So just really interested in biology and all that type of science.
What's your dream profession?
I'd honestly love to just directly work for either the EPA or Department of the Interior.
Okay.
Working within state and national park lands would be amazing, studying wildlife and all that stuff. I really like being outside, and just all that sounds amazing to me.
So you do a lot of hiking, a lot of,
Yes.
I mean, we have a lot of great outdoor activity here in Colorado, and along the way you developed a passion for identifying classifications of mushrooms. And so would you be considered an expert in that field? I mean, you know more than I do. Before this interview, we were talking about it.
I wouldn't necessarily say I'm an expert. I'm still trying to learn. I note things down on my phones. I have like a bunch of textbooks to cross-identify stuff. And I've been getting pretty good at it, I will say, but some stuff I'm still a little iffy on.
Yeah.
Like just this summer, I went morel hunting, which was super fun, especially like anytime there's a wildfire, you'll get morels that haven't fruited in like 10, 30 years.
Yeah.
And they always, burned morels are just the best ones. They're like deep black in color, and they get huge. And put them on anything. There's also, one of my favorite ones is hawk wings. So they just straight up look like the wings of a hawk.
Oh, wow.
And they grow up to about a foot. The biggest one I've seen is a foot. It's like massive one. I don't think normally they get that big, usually about 6 inches. But usually with those mushrooms, you can chop them up, put them on pizza. They taste exactly like portobellos, but they have a lot better of a texture.
So you always add it to your pizza.
Oh, 100%, yeah.
So anything else you want to add before we wrap up about TSA or anything, any other messages you wanted to get out?
I just definitely encourage any parents who are watching this, or any students even, just give TSA a shot. Definitely look at it. It's been such a big, important part of my life and everything I've done at STEM. It's a great way to really put yourself on track for the future in any careers you want to pursue.
All right. Well, thanks for talking to us. We're going to be checking in with you throughout the year on other TSA-related events as you wrap up your senior year. David Marquez, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
And be sure to follow STEM on social media for more content like this, and we'll see you next time.